Good morning, everybody. Well,
Good morning.
and to everybody that's joining us today on this webinar. This is the first in a series of webinars that will be hosted by NIA RCL Philippines. And we'll be looking into the various aspects and impacts of COVID-19, the pandemic, and how it's affected the real estate industry. Today's subject is going to be based on the retail sector. My name is Tim Hallett, and I will be co-hosting today's webinar with my colleague, Raymond Velasquez. I'm going to hand over to Raymond now to do a very short introduction, and then we'll kick off with our panelists. Raymond.
Thank you, Tim. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
We have two distinguished guests for today. I'd like to introduce first Mr. Eduardo Fuentebella. June is currently the Vice President for Operations of Italpinas Development Corp, who has development residential and retail projects in Cagayan de Oro and Batangas. Prior to that, June is also with Samsung and has been working in the retail industry for a while. Another guest speaker for today is Paulo B. Clavecilla, who is an F&B restaurant consultant working for Mise F&B Consulting. Paulo is also an adjunct professor at Endiran Colleges. Welcome, gentlemen.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Thank you for having us, for having me.
Tim, turn.
Okay, thank you, Raymond, and thank you, Jun, and thank you, Tugi, for joining us today, and to all of our guests again. Everybody, the Philippine consumer and retail sector is expected to be one of the sectors hardest hit in the months down lockdown and possibly longer. You know, where 50% of the population is based in Luzon, which is going to be accounting for 73% of the country's GDP. So potentially major impact across the whole of the real estate sector. So I'd like to open today with some questions to both to June and our guest Tugi. And the first question would be, how do you believe the COVID-19 pandemic, the lockdown, the quarantine, is currently affecting the retail business in general? Maybe we'll go to June first.
Okay, thanks for the question, T. There are three areas that we're expecting the lockdown and the quarantine to affect our business. Basically, number one, in the business operations, there's a slowdown in our product development. When I talk about product development, we talk about our construction, meaning there are delaying contracts, there are delay in leasing, and as well as the retail aspects affected. On the financial side, there's a slowdown in our account receivable. We are extending payment terms now. Sales and marketing, of course, sales is a very low conversion rate. People would like to buy less. They would like to hold on to their money and even delay some of their payments on a wait and see mode. Those are the basically three areas that we're looking into as the effect of the pandemic. Thank you, Tim.
Tugi, your thoughts, please.
With the zero economic activity, we feel as if on the consumer side, no, that the sky has fallen. So really, there is no restaurants or retail spaces that have open plannings for the rest of the year seem to have they do not want to continue with the plans anymore. So yeah, so this will affect us, greatly.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be challenging times for everybody, Tugi. But as an industry sort of consultant, somebody who advises the industry, you know, how do you think business owners should be responding to this? You know, what do you think are some of the key initiatives they should be taking to see us through the initial lockdown and then prepare ourselves for how we move out of the lockdown?
Well, cash is king, no? Right now, plans are on hold. The industry is on hold because people do not know, businesses do not know what's going to happen tomorrow. the situation itself is fluid. It's a day-to-day thing. So as a result, people are pivoting. Businesses are pivoting from expansion to recovery. So I think businesses should. Well, what we advise our clients is that they should hold on first. They should hold on first and save as much as possible.
Okay. And, I mean, holding on is one thing and pre-planning, but I believe that one of the first things that we need to do is to admit, and understand the problem and get into a very, very structured pre-planning and strategic process in terms of how we deploy resources in the industry. Yeah.
Well,
from an F&B perspective, which is your speciality, I mean, in reality, we're seeing lots of initiatives. I mean, how do you see those initiatives rolling out? And do you see those going on forever? Like home delivery services and such like. Do you see that being the new norm?
Yes, the new norm. The new norm will be a greater reliance on technology. We already see little snippets of that creeping into the market. There are contactless payment systems. We also see greater reliance on what's available. Like we see Grab, we see Lalamove, we see all of these delivery systems keying in right now.
Thank you, Tugi. June, understanding that now we're moving towards a new norm, whether it's short-term, medium or long-term, I think this will provoke many changes in our industry across the whole real estate sector. Maybe you can just explain to our guests how a developer like yourself will be looking at sustaining operations during the lockdown, and how you will prepare and pre-plan for moving out, and what new initiatives, what lessons will be learned for you as a developer from this situation.
Well, first of all, I thank you, Tim, for the question. First of all, to answer your first question, how do we plan to sustain our level of preparation? We're looking at this at around a 3 to 6 month stretch to probably a year. We're looking at developing new ways in terms of this, using online to promote marketing. We have used a lot of technology to make sure that work from home, data migration, data access is being done. Number 3, it's a financial issue. Cash is key. We have to look at our AR, our cash flow, our cash inflow, and our accounts payable. We have to be very focused and very strategic in managing it. And when it comes to our, handling our supplies, our manpower, everything's on hold. Hiring is on hold. Contracting is on hold. We are distributing now manpower and workload. Our workload capacity and workload capability studies are on. We are tracking the work output of each and every individual. We're making sure that we're able to enable the business and run operation in spite of the quarantine, with the hope that after the quarantine, we will be able to possibly proceed with business as usual. But basically, we are looking very deep into our cash management, which is now the very major key area, especially our accounts receivable. We have been giving out incentives to make sure payments are not held back. We are a little cut on our profit, but at least cash flow keeps coming in and we can run operations. We have to review our payables to make sure that we manage it well. So those are the basically 3 things we're doing: manpower, capacity load, technology use, online use, and cash management. Tim.
June, thank you for that. But for specific tenants, where you have a tenant already operating in one of your properties, what particular things have you done for that tenant? I mean, how are you giving him any relief on the current situation? Do you have any standardized policies for that? Because that fundamentally is one of the biggest questions that I think is coming from the market of independent entrepreneurial retail owners?
Yeah. Yes, Dave, we have had a lot of requests from our retailers and lessors that's coming in. And we found out the more we got it, we sat down as an executive committee and we started to draft terms of payments on how we can not really delay, but suspend their terms of payment and give them incentives in a way to be able to give them a relief on paying us initially. And that has helped us a lot. It's not only building relationships, sustaining them, but it's really a goodwill on our side. And we've done that across already for both our properties in Cagayan de Oro and Batangas, and we've been sending out the letters. And it's been helping us a lot to let them make sure that we want them to stay, and we're also giving them regular updates online with regards to construction development and what are the things to come to keep their hopes alive in spite of the situation that we have. Those were the things that we're doing now for all our clients.
Yeah. Thank you, June, and I'm sure you and every other developer or retail owner is going through the same process. I'd like to move things more in the direction of people now. I mean, one of the biggest impacts, as we said earlier on, is with human capital, with the many thousands of staff that work across the retail sector. You know, retention of staff and the way that we look after our people is critical. I mean, in these front-end industries. What particular, and this is a question for both, and we'll kick off with June again, if I may. What are you doing as a company to look after your front-end staff?
Thank you, Tim. There are three things that we're doing. One is to avoid the spread. The safety of our people are foremost priority. So to avoid contact and the spread of the virus and to minimize it, we started to initiate the work from home. The work from home for us is 50% half. 50% of our workforce will be working at home. The other 50% are skeletal. But as the enhanced community quarantine increased, we started to send more and more people from work at home. That's one thing that we did. We use technology now to monitor work output, work capacity, and how respective teams would collaborate with the work outputs. We made sure that hygienically and sanitation-wise, our offices were clean. We went to the protocols given to us in terms of having every office beings disinfected once a week. We had those things in place. We looked into the measures financially on how can we help our employees in the next 3 to 6 months, make sure that they have salaries, they're productive, and they're healthy. We have what we call a COVID-19 pandemic executive team or rapid response team that which I'm part of the team, which heads it, that looks into the welfare of our employees, not only in terms of health, but in terms of work productivity, and an IT team that's supporting us in terms of technology to make sure that all those who work from home are very productive. Basically, those are the basic measures that we have taken up. Yeah.
Great. Thank you, June. And Toogie, as a consultant advising, you know, multiple sort of F&B based retailers, what would be your your take on this, and what would be the type of advice that you're being asked to opine on in this time?
Okay, most of our clients are small independent restaurants, right, or hospitality based industries. So as a general rule, they've already started to practice all of those sanitation policies, even up to a stricter level, because they already see the problems, the problems that can arise if they don't follow or have an enhanced response to the pandemic. Second, but even more so, with regards to small independents, which is a large amount of the industry, it is really, I think, a push and pull. I think what's more important in staff retention is really to have open lines of communication with your staff, because right now the industry is a standstill. Some places do not have. In some places you cannot enter. Some places we have a client that the staff did not want to come into into the restaurant, no? So it's a kind of a push and pull. It's also a no work, no pay relationship right now. So what I guess, what I'm trying to say is that there is a lot of honesty and open communications that should happen between employer and employee. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. And okay, that's good. I mean, and I'm sure everybody's going through multiple different ways. You know, so gentlemen, as we move on through the crisis, as we're beginning to manage everybody's expectations, as we begin to emerge to an end, which we sincerely are praying and hoping for very, very soon, and we're certainly seeing some changes. How do you believe there's going to be an effect to you on if you like, the supply chain in the business, and in terms of new opportunities coming through in the future? Do you think, you know, the fundamental, you know, structure of our businesses will change?
Well, in terms of the supply chain, just like every industry, they have to get back into the groove. They not only is it about transportation, okay, not only is it about, yeah, it's not only about transportation, but it's also about getting, delivering the raw materials properly to reduce wastage, right? So I guess the industry has to recover through simplifying, through not biting off more than what they can chew. For example, we've had two of our clients are going on simplified menus, meaning they can only what is easy to procure and what is easy to cook once they're open. So yeah, so they're looking for right now ease, and then when the systems are back in, when the delivery systems, when the packaging systems are back in, then they'll migrate to a greater scale. But right now, for the foreseeable future, people are looking at to simplify.
Yeah, understandable. So if we can go back to June now, June, I mean, if we had a crystal ball, and you know, as we begin to emerge at the end of the crisis, you know, I think many lessons will have been learned on how we manage our businesses during this crisis. But what do you think? What do you see, and what do you believe are some of the fundamental changes that we'll see in the way our businesses operate, given the lessons learned, and given how we need to plan more effectively moving ahead in the industry?
Well, basically, we're all praying and hoping that when the pandemic's over, all will be positive. Right now, what we're really doing on the executive committee as a developer is we're very proactive. We're trying to drive every key principles and elements that enable the business to function and execute all those for us. If everything was normal and within the limits of the quarantine. The first priority we had was really how to take care of our teams. And we have to look deeply into them in terms of capability building, in terms of capacity. How do we properly make sure we transfer workload and work capacity? Now that we're experiencing this, we have made a lot of good things. There are certain areas we need to improve. It's really our manpower, how we take care of it. Second is really the investment in technology. We learned that with these things happening, we need to upgrade a lot of things of technology in terms of how to collaborate, how to automate workforce. And we're spending on that. Fourth, we have to be very strict with our relationships with the banks. Our online facilities must always be intact. Our relationship must always be intact with the banks. Our financial team is very focused on our AR, our cash inflow, and our accounts payable, and we manage it. And we have a regular meeting regarding that matter to make sure that we are always have enough money and more money to sustain our operations, our people. We're now maximizing our online facility. We have our web and digital developments and online campaigns already ongoing. We realize that during this time of the pandemic, Tim, that a lot of more people are now glued to their social medias and to their Instagram. And we want to take advantage of that to make sure that when we're praying that when all this is over, we still create a positive impact and a positive mindset to our clients, not only to let them stay, but to retain them, to let them buy, to convert sales and our leads into sales, and to make sure they bring more customers and everything normalizes. By then, with all the lessons that we've learned, we have enough cash, we have trained people, we have the technology just to continue the building and make up for whatever little loss we have. Those are the basic measures that we're looking at least 3 to 6 months down the line. I hope that helps.
Good. Yeah, thank you, John. And Tugi, I mean, one of the things that appears to be coming from discussions here is technology, digital. You know, and I mean, one of the leaders in the retail sector is F&B in terms of digital home deliveries. Do you believe that this will be a catalyst for the growth in digital-based services in the industry, whether it be deliveries, whether it be payments, whether it be just the way that we communicate with each other? I mean, do you see this having or digital being reinvented as a result of this?
Okay. We really perceive that digital is the future of the F&B, right? There's already, I think there's already, we can see, I saw a video the other day on how we pay can affect the food and beverage industry through contactless deliveries, right? That being said, I also believe that there is people will be more wary of social gatherings for the foreseeable future because of the need to distance ourselves, right? So yes, once this is all over, it will be a slow, the rise of technology will come, the rise of mobile apps, mobile payments. At the same time, it will be a slow come up to become for people to come to restaurants again.
That's good. That's good, gentlemen. I mean, we're moving towards the end of the webinar time. I'd just like to throw one other last question out before we summarize. Jordan, maybe first, very, very quickly, if you could just give us an idea. I'm talking about government initiatives. Are there any clear government initiatives for the retail sector? Is there any recommendations that they're making, or is there any support that they're giving?
So far, we're looking into tax incentives, probably that we're looking at, given the fact that business has been affected 3 to 6 months, probably 1 year down the line. What are the possible tax incentives that we can have? What are the possible bank support that we can have in terms of paying amortizations and interest? Those are the important things we're looking at. It's always on the financial operating budget on how can we lower it, how can they shield us from this pandemic that's happening. And I think our finance and banking team are very much focused as a developer on how we can get those incentives. Right now, those are the government supports that we would need and we would want to help us recover in this pandemic.
Good. Thank you, Jun. And Tugi, do you have any thoughts on this, or have you seen anything specific affecting into the F&B sector?
Right now, there's a lot of employees that are on no work, no pay, and it's very painful to see that people cannot work, right? So one thing, the government should. We saw that the DOLE, the Department of Labor, has given 5,000 pesos for any displaced or employee. So it's time to take advantage of that. I guess what I'm really trying to say is that I think through this pandemic, we really have to hold our government institutions accountable. We need them. We need them right now. They have to shield us, as Mr. Fuentebella just said.
Yeah, I agree. Gentlemen, we really reaching the end of our session here today, and I'd like to personally thank you guys for joining us. I mean, we could probably go on all morning, and discuss many related issues. But I'd like to hand back to Raymond now, who's going to just summarize our discussion, and I'll rejoin you in a few minutes. Raymond?
Thank you, Tim. Thank you, gentlemen. There are certainly interesting inputs from both of you guys. I'm taking out some notes, and just few key takeaways from the discussion this morning. First is in the effect of the COVID-19 pandemic. Three things that I highlighted here. Definitely there are delays in terms of project for developer side, and expansion plans also for both developers and the retailers. So now they have to revisit their plans to expand, to look for other new sites, and other things to consider given this situation. Second, the supply chain is badly hit. So that's something that has to be fixed. It affected both parties, developer side and retailer side. So there's a lot of things we have to address on that side. Third one is I highlighted that cash is really key. So this is the time that we have to minimize our exposure, revisit our expenses, AR, bank relationships, etc., etc. Now moving forward on some key takeaways, how we can, after this situation, what are some opportunities? One is now it opened up some opportunities in the technology sector, like what Tugi mentioned, the means that they're using now in terms of payment deliveries. And we know that the online business has been growing for the past years, and we're seeing a lot of growth in that sector as well. So we're also looking at a change in the consumer behavior that's probably changing to a possible new normal. People are now getting as the ease also of online deliveries, even in their groceries, so in other areas. Another thing is the support with the landlord, and now tenants, landlords should discuss possible flexibility in terms of their commercial leases. Given this situation, there might be another provision in those lease contracts to cover both parties. They have to check also government initiatives and support that coming on our way. And lastly, I think this is the right time to be more health conscious, more green, perfect to what the Italpinas Development Corp is doing right now. They're more into the green buildings. So those are the things that we can do moving forward and how we can address this situation. We hope to see you again, guys, in our next webinar, and I pass it on to Tim for some closing remarks.
Thank you, Raymond. And again, a big thank you to Tugi and June for joining us today. As we wrap up, I'm sure our guests that have dialed into this webinar are going to have many questions. And we would like you, if you have questions, to drop us an email. The email address was in the link, or the link that was sent to you to allow you to log into this webinar. So please email that address. We will consolidate the responses, and one of our team will get back to you and hopefully be able to answer your questions. Moving ahead, of course, NIA RCL Philippines is a multifaceted real estate consultancy. And we're here for you guys, and I think that's really important. We're here to help you, advise you, and handhold you through the current crisis. So if there's any help that's needed, please reach out. But more importantly, as we move out, I mean, there's going to be many opportunities in real estate across the whole industry. Out of adversity breeds great opportunity, and I think we've learned that over the many crises that we've been throughout the world and in Asia since the Asian financial crisis, through SARS, through Mise, through global financial crisis. So I think everything always comes back bigger and stronger. We learn lessons. We're very adaptable, and we're a very resilient market here across the Asia Pacific, and the Philippines is as well. So we look forward to being able to advise you and help you all get bigger and better and stronger, acquire your new assets, or anything else you'd like to do in the real estate industry. So please reach out. Thank you all for attending today. Again, thank you to our hosts. Thank you, Raymond, and we look forward to you joining our next webinar, which will be next week, and we'll be focusing on the hospitality sector. Thank you and good morning.